Well, as a research geek, the Olympics is a unique opportunity, and I've sort of branded the research we do around it the billion-dollar lab. People used to think it's because I had $1 billion to do research. I don't. What it was referred to was how much it cost the company to get the rights to it. But here's the reason why it's a researcher's dream, and we've been doing this since 2008. It's because the Olympics is a huge amount of content on all cross-platforms. It gets a huge amount of consumer use, much more than normal, kind of content, in the regular year. And finally, and really interestingly, it lasts over 17 days. So unlike a big event like the Super Bowl or the Golden Globes, we can see trends take place over those 3 weeks. And so from 2008, as I said, we've been looking at how consumers have been consuming media and trying to cobble together ways in which we can, measure this cross-platform. Every time we've done it, 2008, 2010, and so on, both the Olympics got a bit more complicated and our ability to follow the consumption got, more complicated. And now, here we are in Rio in 2016, we are reflecting, this incredibly changing media environment. So much of the Olympics will be streamed. So much of it will be, live on a variety of platforms. We'll be using a lot of social media. So we're trying to understand the way in which people are consuming, this content in a variety of ways. Now, I know the Olympics is special. And, nobody would suggest that, the average day people are going to behave quite as they do on the Olympics. But what we've always found is that when people have an opportunity and when there's a certain kind of content they want to follow on these platforms, they'll do it. And what it means is that we see the way our consumers, human beings, kind of are behaving. And we've had many, many insights that, we've learned and that we've shared with our clients about, consumer behavior going forward. I mean, for example, in 2010, which was Vancouver, I know this is going to sound crazy now, but what we learned was the rise in apps. Okay, in other words, before that, on phones, what people were using was what was called a WAP. It was a website designed for a phone. But all of a sudden, there was this inkling of apps that were coming out, and it was very clear that apps were going to be the way in which consumers going forward were going to basically access content. And when we came back from the Olympics, it was one of our biggest insights, and the company wound up saying we better start, developing apps, and again, here we are now. The idea that this was revelatory is crazy, but if you go back then, nobody really thought about it. So what the billion-dollar lab and all the work around the Olympics does, I think, is to give us a glimpse of the future. And, it's a great opportunity as a researcher to do that. So what we do every year is we do all this work, we do work during the Olympics, and, afterwards we try to put it all together. And then we sort of do a roadshow in which we share it with not only our internal management, but also, with folks, with our advertisers, with our clients, and with the industry at large. And I think that, I think it's going to be a really interesting Olympics because of all the amount of content that's now going to be on these alternative platforms, and the fact that social media, which is really coming to its own, we're going to have to see, what kind of a role it plays.